Fred Film Radio, this is Manuela Santacatterina from the 32nd Torino Film Festival. I'm in company of Jacob Møller, the director of Madame Hida, presented here in Turin in a competition. Welcome. Jacob, where did this story come from?
Well, I suppose it came from when I was writing it. I was very fascinated about the meaning of love and lack of love in our lives, and that came from my own parents, who both of them randomly grew up in orphanages, quite hard lives with not a lot of love in it. And that's led to some pretty tragic stories in my family. But they decided that me and my siblings were going to have a childhood with much more love and care than they had. And so I've just been fascinated about what the meaning of love and care and security in our lives, and what kind of human beings it creates, maybe not to have it in your life. So I suppose it's inspired by my parents. Yeah.
Judgment is one of the theme addresses by the movie, and it's really interesting because all the three female characters are judged for a reason or another. I would like to ask you, how did you work on this aspect as a man? Because it's really interesting how a young man like you um, has been able to write a movie that is such a female movie. I would like to ask you.
Sure. Um, the truth is that I haven't thought about it that much. I mean, I didn't make a decision to this has to be a female story. That was just what this story required. Um, I didn't approach it. Of course, obviously, I'm not female and I'm not a mother. But I can tell you that I've never written three characters that are closer to myself than these three women are. And I'm not a woman, but I can relate to their struggles and their emotions and their tragedies and their judgments. They're very, very close to me. And so the truth is, I haven't really given it much thought as to me as a man making a film about females. This was just what I wanted to make, I suppose. Yeah.
Your movie is full of silence, and I want to ask you, why did you choose this approach, and how did you work with your three actresses? Because it's really interesting how they work on this silent moment.
Mhm, mhm. Well, again, it's pretty intuitive. I mean, I can only make films the way I see it in my head, of course, and I suppose my own particular taste uh, maybe doesn't have a lot of dialogue in the films I like to watch as well. Um, and I just think if you can say it without words, you always should. I think, but of course, it's like my references in films are maybe also silent, and yeah, I enjoy silence also in my real life. So of course that translates into my film, and as how I worked with them. I mean, it was very exciting because they're very, very different actresses. Like one is very young, unschooled, doesn't even know what she's doing or how she's doing it. She's one of them talents that has like an emotional intelligence even in that young age. So she just is so natural. And then you have the older actress Karen Lise, who is like in her 70s, and she really wanted to talk about the text and dissect every word. And then you have the middle-aged one, Christine, who plays Ida. She didn't want to talk about text at all. She wanted to like feel it in her body and just try it out and stuff like that. So it's three very different acting approaches that they had, and thus it had to be three different approaches in me directing them as well. That was a very fun exercise for me. Yeah.
This is your first feature film, and it's really interesting to see how much control do you have over the shots. How did you work visually to create this story, and how did you work with your cinematographer? Because I think that the light, it's really important in this movie because it's able to explain the stages of the relationships of your characters.
Um, Again, it's pretty intuitive. It's just I get my job as the director is to translate whatever is in my head onto the screen, and of course that is translated through my amazing team. I hire people who are better than me in all aspects, of course, and um, but again, the style of filmmaking is, I also just think I'm a huge nerd. I'm a film nerd, and I study film, and I've done it all my life, so of course that has fed into the way I make films as well. And the controlled aspect of it, I don't really, it's very intuitive for me. That's just how I see it in my head. It's not very articulated. um, but I have my references, of course, and my taste, and that meets my wonderful cinematographer, who then brings his own tastes and skills to the table, and in collaboration, we achieve something. Yeah.
And how did you work with the composer? Because music is such a central element in this movie,
Yeah.
and he used um, just the piano and some string. And I want to ask you if you had some, if you give him some advices. Maybe you wanted the movie to sound in a certain way, or instead he had a blank page.
No, music is very important to me. So important that I write it into my screenplays. I write like actual music references in my screenplay, and those are often, at least for this film, um, like old piano pieces, like old classical music. And then in collaboration with my great composer, we make it our own, of course. And he we talked a lot about my um, my love for old music, and but also trying to like modernize it a bit, so we weren't just reproducing an old classical music piece. So there are strings, but there are also some electronic elements in there to sort of hopefully modernize it a bit, because I am very old inside. I'm an old soul, so I'm glad that my team can also help me maybe modernize it a bit. Yeah, but it's very important to me. It starts with music often. Yeah.
My last question: what do you hope the audience will bring with them from your movie?
I mean, I Well, I mean, I hope that someone will get something out of it and enjoy it, hopefully. But I have no expectations, and of course, I've put my fascinations into the films, and but I also feel like it's not from tonight. This is the first time we're screening it tonight. Then it's not mine anymore. Now it's theirs. So whatever they get out of it, I'm happy to listen, and I'm excited to see. Hmm?
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jacob Møller and Manuela Santacatterina for Fred the Festival Insider.